Joe, thank you for this interview.
Sure.
So we want to know about what do you think about the VR experiences?
I mean, it's the beginning of the future. You know, like the Litro camera. That's the future to me. Like you'll be filming someday in 15, 20 years once it becomes more affordable. You'll be getting 3D data of the room. You will be able to change focus on the fly. You'll be able to, there's not going to be any more compositing at home in real time. So it's exciting. VR is just the first step. It's very hard to design for. It's very hard to shoot. Having editorial background, it's hard not to be able to edit sometimes. Do you know what I mean? But I'm embracing it. I'm doing 2 VR projects right now, actually. I mean, it's unavoidable. You can't avoid it. So I'll continue to do my traditional, editorial filmmaking, but also VR as well. And for me, VR is all about point of view. It's all about, binaural audio is really exciting to me too. So getting the audio in the space with you and your kind of point of view and your perception, it makes it very emotive. It makes it very emotional in a way.
Can you talk more about your 2 projects on VR?
Sure. We're doing a live performance in London on December 8th, where we're taking over a space, designing a set, and having live performance captured in VR. Cameras are in the middle. Different dance numbers, music. It's like a music and dance show, but it's live streaming VR, and then we'll capture it for editorial as well. So we'll do both.
What kind of technique do you like on the VR sequence? Which is the most important sequence for you?
I would say I think it's just getting things up and close to the camera. Just kind of, like putting a VR camera in a bowl of milk and having cats come and drink the milk is interesting. It's like, because it's like extreme POV. It's like it feels like you're in something. Whereas if it's just expansive and there's not a lot of things close to camera, but it's just kind of like, it's like the difference between I shoot a lot of landscape photography, but I do it with long lenses because I want to get close to things. I want to see the texture, and it forces you also to compose. Whereas I think if you have things close to the VR camera, it forces you to kind of compose and choreograph things that are close, and it just feels better. I like it. It makes the experience more intense. Yeah.
Talk about Mexican movies. You have a favorite one?
I mean, I like Grindhouse by Rodriguez. What's his first name? Grindhouse, that Quentin Tarantino and some Rodriguez. Rodriguez. It's called Grindhouse. It's amazing. And the guys did Birdman and Revenant. What's his name? Yeah, he's the best.
Okay.
And Chivo, his DP, is the best too. What's the director's name? It's not Alfonso Cuarón. It's the other guy's name.
Okay. You like the Birdman
and Revenant.
Okay.
Yeah, that director is incredible. Incredible.
Okay. So.
We'll do it later.
Yeah, maybe we can remember that. Do you think it's some kind of special challenge in the VR recording? Do you think we are having that kind of challenge? Do you stop, or do you have a big problem with this recording?
I mean, it is challenging because you have to set up a scene and you can't. I mean, the craft of filmmaking it's a lot of trickery. There's cuts. There's takes. Take 2, take 3. Do your line over. You can hide things. You can cut and make things appear and disappear and cover things up. In VR, you can't do any of that, which is difficult. It's challenging. Doing CG in VR is challenging because it's high frame rate, 4K. I mean, it's just more. It's just more, and that's difficult. Doing compositing in VR is incredibly hard because you have to kind of composite in the spherized world, which is really hard. So it's super challenging. I think it's getting to a point where it's starting to be rewarding. There's VR experiences that feel rewarding. I think it's got a long ways to go, but it's the future. It's the idea, it's the thought that okay, we're gonna basically film this whole space so you can see this entire space instead of just what the lens captures. Whatever focal length it is. You're saying this is the focal. it's an entire space which is totally changes everything. I don't, in 10 years will we go to the cinema with VR goggles? Probably, probably, and have binaural audio swirling around in space. It's gonna be awesome. They were saying, I read an article about war, like how they broadcast war. And at first it was like Facebook Live, and it was, first it was like news cameras, right? It was like old school. And then they were doing like Facebook Live, and pretty soon it'll be like live streaming VR, 10 years? Sure. Internet speeds will be fast enough. It'll be crazy. You'll be in the battlefield, which is a scary thought, It's not necessarily a good example, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, you'll go to a NASCAR race, and all the cars will have these little cameras on the front of them, and it'll be like right there. So it's getting interesting. I mean, I think the field of creativity and the field of technology is never slowing down. It's amazing to me that like music never feels redundant. There's always something new. It doesn't really feel like there's too much copying. It always feels like there's some new flavor, there's some new act, there's some new thing. And filmmaking is the same way. It's like there's always something new, and it's inspiring. It's always a good time to be a creative, especially now.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
All right.